Hello, this is Wmpyr. Here to talk about the heaven6 partner drill. This is commonly practiced. I see it all over online. Lots of people doing it, that's a good thing. I'm happy to see lots of people training the heaven6, and then when you do it with partners, it's fun and that is a cool thing. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of people kind of get to this level and then they kind of like don't know what to do afterwards and they get bored with it and then that's it, right? The next level, I think what is traditionally taught is now you go from heaven6 partner drills and you're able to do that and a bunch of different variations. And then from there, you'll go into something that's more along the lines of close range. So we're talking about like the trapping stuff, the hubad stuff, and that can get a lot more complicated and people can get turned off with that. And yeah, I think that's kind of sad. So what I want to talk about today is how can you make the most out of like your heaven6 partner drills. Okay. Um, to me, this is an awesome drill, and it is not complex in a sense that it is, how do you call it? It's a mirror drill, right? So what I'm doing and what my partner doing is exactly the same. It's not like they're attacking and then they're using attacking techniques and I'm using defensive techniques. So what we're doing is different and then we switch. There are drills where it's attack and defense, but this is not one of them. This is mirror. We are both doing the heaven6, right? And there's a lot of things that you can be doing and you should be doing. Okay, I know for a beginner, the first thing is you basically need to just memorize the arms. Okay, because at first you're gonna get it all confused, tangled up, and your arms are just you're gonna make mistakes. And one of the things that you need to do is make sure that your starting position and your ending position is correct. Okay. I know people call it chamber, but once again, I like to divide it into starting position and ending position. To me, that's more technical, but you need to have that because if you don't do that properly, then you're definitely going to mess up. So that is one of the keys. And to avoid getting that mixed up and messing up that way is if you do the motion all the way. And that is one of the things that I constantly teach my students is always go back to doing it all the way. So the first motion, I call it the scarf. So it should wrap around your neck and to where your arm is pretty much, it can't move other than go back the way it came. So, wrap it around your neck. The next one, right, is open your wing and do that all the way. And then the third one is the waterfall motion. So anyway, when you exaggerate the motions, it becomes harder to mess up. Take the time to exaggerate, right? And always slow down. If you could do it slow, it'll naturally become faster. If you try to do it fast, then this is not the way to go, okay? You got to be patient. And so anyway, a beginner has to memorize it, okay? And I've seen this firsthand. I mean, this just happened recently in a class that I held recently. The student can do it perfectly fine in the air and perfectly fine against hitting something, right? Like a pole or something. And then now we do the partner drill and they start messing up. And of course part of that is I'm trying to mess them up too. I mean, that's part of it because I want to add the stress. I want to add the like intimidation. I want to add the change of speed that throws off their timing because all of those things can happen in real life. So if you want to train and make your training a little bit more realistic, you could add elements like that. Okay. But I'm not trying to frustrate my partner, but we're trying to put in realistic elements, okay? And that's the thing. You could put in realistic elements. There's lots and lots of stuff that you do. One of the things that is very common is you'll notice people doing the heaven 6 partner drill, and then one person goes down all the way on their knee, and then they could end up laying all the way down, and they're still doing the heaven 6 with the other person the whole time, and then they get back on their knees and they stand back up. Okay, and they can take turns where one person goes back down on their knees and then lays down all the way and then back on their knees and then stands up again. Or they could both go down on their knees and then go standing back again, you know. So change of levels is what that is. And if you've never experienced doing the heaven 6 with a partner and you're on your knees and the other person's standing, that is pretty intimidating. And that is good practice, you know, to stay calm doing that. And to try to stay mobile too. In that you could have one knee up, one leg down, you know, kind of position, in a kneeling position too, or both knees down, or in a crouch position. That's all good to practice. Another thing, of course, is changing the speed between, you know, you and your partner could go slow, medium, and fast. Those are the 3 general speeds, and you change it up, okay? And you kind of have to use the sensitivity. You have to feel like, oh, he's speeding it up. Okay, so I'm going to speed. So one person kind of plays the leader and can control that. Or it could be random, you know, both of you could do it as well. Another one is you start walking, okay? So you could just do it where you're fixed position, where you're just both facing square, but then now, to make it a little bit more realistic, you guys can start walking around and explore the whole park, if you are at a park, as you're doing it. You'll get comfortable to the point where you're talking to each other and you're doing the heaven 6 partner drill. This is all great stuff, you know. It helps you use peripheral vision, because as you're engaged with an opponent, you want to be looking for the exit, or you want to be looking for, is his buddy going to join in? Is his buddy trying to sneak up behind me? Those are very important things, very realistic things that could help you out. So when you're at a park and walking around like that, you want to make sure you don't bump into a tree, or there's a small hill that you need to go up, or there's a small pothole on the ground, or a puddle of water, or you got to avoid that kind of stuff. So this is all good training. But then you could start putting in more combative footwork, which is one person is going to come in forwards, almost like they're charging in, essentially. Not at first. You can speed it up a little bit, but then you get to the point where you are charging at your partner, and they're rushing backwards. And you go back and forth that way. Take turns, you know. One person moves forward, the other person moves back, and then you switch. The other person moves forward, and you move back. But then once again, you could add some speed into it to where one person is more like charging in, and that definitely gets your heart rate up real fast. Another one is circular footwork. This is very, very important, especially when you have someone that's charging in. Backing up is always slower. You know, maybe there's some ninjutsu people out there that could back up. You know, they could backpedal as fast as most people can run, but normally that needs to be trained like crazy. Okay. So in the real, no, I don't want to say in the real world, because that sounds insulting. I don't mean to insult ninjutsu people. I've met plenty of great ninjutsu practitioners. But yeah, for the most part, running forwards is faster than moving backwards. And if someone's charging at you, and if you're moving backwards, that's a natural response, you're going to get run over eventually. If they're determined enough, you will totally get run over. So you need circular footwork. And the circular footwork practice, you got to practice it, you know, same thing. But those are all like more like, you know, for beginner, like I said, you just memorize the arm movements, right? And then for more intermediate people, you could do all the stuff that I just mentioned. I like to put stuff on the ground, you know, all kinds of like some dumbbells and stuff. Or I used to put a gallon of water jug and put that there, and as you're doing the heaven 6, you have to navigate through and make sure you don't kick or step on those things, because you could trip and fall, right? So once again, you're working on awareness, peripheral vision type of stuff. The other thing is one person can wear a blindfold, and then now the other person has to make sure, you know, everything is going to line up. So you could switch wearing the blindfold, or you don't have to wear a blindfold, and you could meet doing the heaven 6 and then split back up, to where you're not making contact. So you both back away from each other to where you are not making contact, and then back again, and you got to make contact. So that works on your timing, okay? And in fact, it might even be good that when you back up and you're not, you guys sticks are not meeting at that point, you can change the form, do something else, and then try to meet back into the heaven 6. Once again, that works your timing. Those are all like intermediate level type stuff for me, and those are fun. Those, nothing wrong with practicing that stuff. But like for me, I definitely am super attracted to the more combat realistic, combat ready type stuff. So then when I'm doing the heaven 6 with a partner, right, one of the things that I'm focusing is, where are the sticks hitting? Because I will start to manipulate that, and I'll change where it hits on the stick, on their stick. Where my stick hits and where their stick hits, I will manipulate that and change it. They may not even realize it, but I am changing it on purpose. And that level of accuracy and control is important in a real life situation, because in real life, I'm aiming for the hands. And the hands can be, it's quite smaller than the stick. So you definitely need to be able to control that. And being able to change where you hit on the stick. Are you hitting at the top part of the stick, the middle part, or the lower part close to their hand? So I'll play around with that. That's something I work on my own. And then while we're doing the heaven 6 partner drill, another thing is I pay attention to where our legs are, because they could kick me in the balls if I stand square. So what I'm always trying to do is trying to make sure that their leg is always on the outside of my leg. So positioning my leg that way is important. And if we're moving around and doing circular footwork or forwards and back, like I said before, constantly trying to pay attention to where is their leg, where's my leg in relation to each other, to protect my groin, to protect my nuts. So that is another thing that I really enjoy practicing, because I feel like it's very realistic. And then the other thing is, when our sticks meet, if you think about it, that is force to force. We're both mirroring, we're doing the exact same move, our sticks will hit, and then, we're just doing heaven 6 that way, right? So that's force to force. Well, I'm changing the angle by pushing, pulling, or inwards, outwards. So right when the stick meets, I am like, you could pull your stick, right? And that way the force, some of the force can be dispersed. So rather than just going, meeting the sticks, you disperse the force that way. And that's also very, very good practice. You got to work on timing. And to me, that's something that's super fun. So like when I train with my students, and I'm helping them out, I tell them, like, I am learning a lot. And they're looking at me like, what? You're the teacher. How could you be learning? And some students, if they're very considerate and kind and stuff, they feel like they're wasting my time. And I tell them, I assure them that they are not, and that is my responsibility. And I learned this when I was many years ago, when I was doing BJJ, and I was partnered up with children and women, because I'm small and I had power control. There were some guys that they didn't have a power control, so if they partnered up with a girl, they're gonna smash her, just like they would with a guy. In some cases, even worse. Some guys, they would go even harder on a girl because they were that insecure. They were like, there's no way I would lose to a girl. They're super insecure, so they had to go extra hard, which is pretty sad, But I wasn't that way, and I had a volume control. So if I worked out with a female partner, I could make sure that I wasn't smashing her with my strength and bullying her around. I didn't do that. And same with a kid or an older person. So a lot of times I was chosen. Plus my size. I'm not a big person, So I was chosen a lot of times to partner up with women and children. And then at that point, I felt like, damn, I'm going to spar like in 30 minutes. I need to be getting some serious practice. And I felt like I was wasting my time. And that was my own fault. And then I realized, you know what? If I remove my power, my explosiveness, my strength, whatever. And I remember there was this girl in class who had been in the class longer than me. So technically, I was like, technically, skill-wise, she should be way better than me, right? But because of the power, I could hold her down, and it wouldn't be a match if we fought, right? But then I thought, what if I went skill versus skill, knowledge versus knowledge with her? What would happen? The moment I did that, I realized all of a sudden she was very, very good. Like I was like, oh man, I'm having trouble. Like I don't know how to pass her guard now. So at that point, I was like, hey, I could get great practice with her. I could get great practice with anybody if I can learn this. If I could learn how to get the most out of my training partner, no matter who they are, beginner, advanced, huge, small, whatever, everybody, you got to kind of train with differently. So once I understood that, so then when I was starting to teach, I felt, kind of the same thing. I was like, man, I'm wasting my time teaching when I could be practicing myself. But then I changed my attitude, and now, even when I'm teaching, I'm learning. I'm having a blast. And when you have to teach and explain it to somebody, you really have to know it well. So in that sense, it challenges me mentally, to be able to explain it well and whatnot. But now, even in physical practice, like I said, while they're just, let's say, memorizing the heaven6 and trying to make sure they get the arm movements down, I am working on stuff like, okay, can I disperse, like on the heaven6, can I disperse their, when our sticks meet, can I control that? I'm feeling how it hits, so I'm working on my stuff, while they're working on their stuff. So it's not just me going, okay, there, yeah, you do your heaven6. Oh, you messed up again. Oh, it's not just like that. Of course, I'm watching them, but I also get to work on my stuff. So I'm very, very grateful to my students. All these years, I've learned a lot from my students, and so when I look online and see people practicing the heaven6, I don't really see that. I don't really see people doing that. I just see people it's choreography, and that's all they're doing. I want you guys to change your brain and view it as like, when a boxer goes up to a heavy bag and they're sharpening their techniques. That's the way it should be. That's the way it needs to be. So when you do your heaven6 partner practice, even though you've done it a million times and you're like, yeah, we already know this one, it should be like a boxer working on the heavy bag. You are sharpening your moves, So from your footwork all the way, you should be thinking the whole time. You should be feeling, you should be gauging distance. There should be no mess ups, and sharpen your skills that way. So anyway, that's it for now. Thank you for listening, and take care, folks.